Hey guys, this is 2.4. We're talking about how to graph circles and how to identify the equation of a circle, both in standard form and general form. And from the equation, find the center of the circle and find the radius of the circle. So, a circle is a set of points on the xy plane that are a fixed distance r from a fixed point h, comma, k. The fixed distance r is called the radius, and the fixed point hk is called the center of the circle. So hk is the same as xy, and r is the radius. There should be an I there. Radius, so we have a radius and we have the hk or xy, which is the center. So basically, hk is here, right? And the fixed distance r, let's pretend this r is 2, okay? It's a value of 2, no matter which direction I go from hk. If I go 2, I am now touching the outside of the circle, okay? So if I just go r in every direction and do it so tightly that all of my r's touch, I have my circle, okay? So the standard form of an equation of a circle with radius r and center hk is x. Okay, it looks like x minus h, right? But I'm going to call this the x value of the center, which is h, right? The x value of the center is h. And I'm going to change the sign of h. So instead of h, I have negative h, right? So take the x value of the center, change the sign, group it with x, and square that whole quantity, okay? And then take the y value of the center, which would be k, change the sign, and group it with y quantity squared. Add them together, you'll get r squared, okay? So because they are going to ask you to find h and find k, it's important to recognize that the signs have been switched, okay? So you could say x minus h, or you could say h with a changed sign combined with x, okay? The general form of a circle is you just take the algebra, you use algebra to FOIL this out until you have a very long one. You move r back over here so it's set equal to 0, and you leave it with x squared, y squared, ax, by, c. So you're going in order, like alphabetical order, and from greatest to least order, okay? So let's practice writing the standard form of the equation of the circle with a radius 6, center 0, 0, and then we're going to graph the circle. So let's immediately bring this back. The standard form, and it says write the standard form. The standard form is this one. So I'm just going to copy this onto the top of my slide 2. The standard form was change the sign of h, put it with x, square it, change the sign of k, put it with y, square it. All of that is equal to r squared, okay? Now, we have some values. The center, just like the center is XY, for a circle, you call it HK, okay? So we can say that H is 0, K is 0. From this point is where I got those numbers. And we can say that R is 6, radius 6, okay? So now I have, I'm going to put the 0 here, the 0 here, and the 6 here. And I think that I'll be done. All right. Substitute each value in. So X minus 0 squared plus Y minus K 0 squared equals 6 squared. And I can simplify that a little bit, right? No matter what, I know that X minus 0 just becomes X, right? Y minus 0 just becomes Y. And 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. So that's 36. So I'll carry down that squared. X minus 0 squared is just X squared. Y minus 0 squared is just Y squared. And 6 squared is 36. Okay? And that's as simple as I can get it. And then graph the circle. So the center is 0, 0. That's right here. The radius is 6. And remember, here our radius was 2. That just means from HK, I counted out 1, 2, put a point. 1, 2, and put a point. Okay? You can't do it everywhere, right? Just by hand, but you can do it straight up, straight down, straight right, and straight left. So let's count out 6 in each direction. So my points on my circle are here, 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 and here. And then I'm just going to connect those points, and it will be as though the radius is everywhere. And it's not, they're not touching perfectly because I didn't space them perfectly on my hand-drawn map, or my hand-drawn graph. But it should look something like that. I tried drawing a circle without a compass, and it was a nightmare. So I got my compass out. Yeah, I just spaced those too far. So that's a radius 6. R equals 6. HK equals 0, 0. So that is graphed, and that is the equation. We can, give me a second. We can also look at Desmos. Sorry, I wasn't quite prepared. We can also look at the graph and make sure a graphing utility gives us something similar. X squared plus Y squared equals 36. So we see that it's at 6 or -6 at every axis. And so that looks like the one that I drew. So we're just going to do another example. Write the standard form of the equation of the circle with the radius 4 and the center -2, 5. Okay. then convert to general form. All right, the standard form, so I'll just start by writing the standard form up here again, is, it's x and h, right? So we change the sign of h, put it with x, square it, change the sign of k, combine it with y, square it, set that all equal to the radius squared. And we know if this is our point, it's our x and our y, or it's our h and our k. Okay, so I know that h is -2, k is +5, and radius is 4. I'm just going to plug those in. X minus h. H is a -2. Squared plus y minus k is a 5 squared equals the radius squared. So I want you to see how this was a -2, right? But we can simplify that right now. So x stays the same. The squared stays the same. But minus a -2 becomes +2. So now we have x plus 2 squared equals y minus 5 squared equals 4 times 4 is 16, right? So you see that the value is -2, but in our equation, in the standard form, it's a +2, okay? But the point is a -2, so that's why I keep saying we flip the sign. So this is actually a -2 at the center, and this is a +5 at the center. All right, so that has been simplified as standard form, right? Now it says we may graph the circle. So if we graph this circle, the center is at -2, +5. -2 on the x, +5 on the y. Here's my center, and my radius is 4. So if I can go down 4, right? -2, 5. I thought that I put -5, but that was just my dash. Okay, so if I'm at y 5, right? And I want to go down 4, I end up at 1, right? So that's my first point. If I'm at -2 and I want to go +4, I get to +2, right? 1. Look at how spaced out that one was, and that one wasn't. Terrible circle. If I'm at 5 and I want to go +4, I go all the way up to 9, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's way up here. And if I'm at -2 and I want to go -4, I go to -6, right? So I've just added or subtracted 6 from 2 and from 5, from -2 and from 5, to find the edge of my circle. And then I draw that circle. Again, my spacing was terrible. I draw that circle with the origin 2, -2, 5. I'm going to rewrite it down here. -2, 5 is my circle, my origin, center, and then my R is 4, all the way around. Now we need to convert this to general form, okay? So that means we use algebra to FOIL it all out, and we're going to move the 16 over. It does not matter whether you move the 16 first or you FOIL first, so that's up to you. I'm going to FOIL first, okay? So basically, I'm just going to stretch it all out. No, I have enough room. X plus 2 squared just means x plus 2 times x plus 2, right? Plus y minus 5 squared is just y minus 5 times y minus 5 equals 16. Now, first, outside. Inside. And last. So I just FOILed the first one. Keep that plus. And we're going to do the same thing. Y times y is y squared. And that's my f. Y times negative 5 is minus 5y. That's my O. Negative 5 times y is negative 5y. It's my I. And then the last one, negative 5 times a negative 5 becomes a positive 25. And that's my L. Okay, so I just FOILed those two out. Equals 16. And now I can combine like terms. Okay, you see the like terms here? We have so for like terms, we combine the 2x and the 2x. We can combine the 5y and the 5y, they're both negative. And then we will combine the 4, the 25, and the 16, right? But the 16 is on the wrong side, so that might take 2 steps. So we have x squared, because there's nothing to combine that with, plus 4x plus y squared, nothing to combine that with, minus 10y. And now I'm going to add the 4 to the 25 and get 29 equals 16. Okay. And then I'm going to move that 16 over. (29) minus 16 is 13. And now that side is 0. And because the general form is x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c equals 0. So I have the 0. The c is alone, so that's my 13. But I want to put these in order, okay? So I'll put the x squared first. And then I see a positive y squared, so I'm going to put that here. Ax was the 4x, it's a positive 4x. And then by was the negative 10y. And it was a positive 13, so plus 13. So I just want to put it in the same order as they had it here. Okay. So we have graphed it. We have a general form and we have a standard form way up here. Okay. So my standard form was x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 16. That's how I simplified it, right? And then my general form was x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 10y plus 13 equals 0. Okay, so now that we can see both of those, I just want to look in Desmos and see if those are the same equation. So we have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 10y plus 13 equals 0. And then I will put it in standard form. It was x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 16. So that is the same circle. All right, example 2 is done. Example 3, identify the center and radius of the circle x plus 1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 9. So it's already in standard form, right? And we know that in standard form, the center is HK and the radius is R. And let me just write the model of the equation, all right? The model was x minus h squared, or the opposite of, h combined with k, h combined with x, but with a negative sign, right? Change the sign, plus k with the opposite sign combined with y squared equals r squared. Look at what is grouped with x, change its sign, and that will be the x value of my center point. So what is grouped with x? Right here, a positive 1. Change the sign. So now it's a negative 1. And that is my h. Okay, so we looked at what was with x. We changed the sign and we found h. So h is negative 1. Because the positive 1 was with the x, but we needed to change the sign. Okay. Now to find k, what is grouped with y? A negative 1. Change the sign. So you get a positive 1. This is your k value. K is 1. It's important that you think about it and like look at each step, because it's very easy to say that h is 1 and k is negative 1, but it isn't because of these subtraction signs. So that means it's actually the opposite sign, right? If it's a positive 1, it becomes a negative 1. If it's a -1, it becomes a +1. Okay? And then for the radius, the radius is just r squared equals 9, right? And we know what to do there. To get rid of the squared, we square root it. So the square root of r squared is just r. And then we have the square root plus or minus the square root of 9, which is plus or minus 3. But the radius is only a distance, right? And a distance can never be negative. So we just say 3. We ignore the negative. Distance is always positive. So this circle has a center of -1, 1, and a radius of 3. Sorry. And let me just show you, I just want to show you the h and the k one more time, okay? So the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals 9. Well, equals r. Apologies. R squared. So we said the center is -1, 1, right? Because I just kept saying, flip the sign, flip the sign, flip the sign. So if I put those in, x minus -1 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 3 squared, I will get minus a negative is a plus. So I will get that same equation as they gave us originally, okay? Because I changed the sign. I changed the sign of each of them, okay? If I hadn't changed the sign, right? And I just said, oh, this is a +1, this is a -1, this one's h, this one's k, right? If I had just done that, so I said, my center is 1, -1, and I tried to put that in, then that would be x minus 1 squared plus y minus -1 squared equals 3 squared, right? So then I would end up with x minus 1 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 9. And that is not the same, right? So if I just try to say h is positive, k is negative, I will not get the right equation because of those minus signs. So change the sign, very important, okay? This is wrong. This cannot be h, this cannot be k without changing the sign. All right, so we've identified the center, we identified the radius. So the center was -1 on the x, 1 on the y. It's right here. And it has a radius of 3. So this is -1, 1. If I go down 3 from +1, I get to -2, right? If I go right 3 from a -1, I get a +2. If I go up 3 from a +1, I get to 4. And if I go left 3 from a -1, I get -4. So this one's -4, 1, right? I subtracted 3. This one's a +2, 1. I added 3. This one's a -1, -2. I subtracted 3. And this one's a -1, 4. I added 3. So those are the points on the radius of my circle, or sorry, on the perimeter of my circle. And then I'm just going to connect them. So if my center is -1, 1, and my radius is 3, that means I can just add 3 and subtract 3 to both of those numbers. Okay, so 1 would be -1 plus 3, 1, -1 minus 3, 1, -1, 1 plus 3, -1, 1 minus 3. And that will give me each of the points of my circle. So -1 plus 3 becomes 2, 1. This becomes -4, 1. This becomes -1, 4. And this becomes -1, -2. And those are the points when I counted out 4 in every direction. Example 4 says, identify the center and radius of the circle x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 25. So we have no value grouped with x, right? The equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, right? So I know r squared is 25. We know what to do with that, right? The square root of r squared just says r is plus or minus. The square root of 25 is 5, right? But because a distance can't be negative, we just say r is 5. So we found r. H is whatever was grouped with x, and then we change the sign. So we'll ask the question again. What is grouped with x? Nothing, right? Nothing is 0. You can't change the sign of 0, so we say h is 0. To find y, we say what, or sorry, to find k, we say what is grouped with y? A positive 4. Change the sign. K is -4. So we know r is 5, h is 0, k is -4. The center is always hk. So that is 0, -4. The radius is 5. So that just means we count out from 5. And then graph it. 1, 2, 3, 4. The center, and then the radius is 5. So the center, 0 on x, -4 on y, right here. Okay, the radius is 5. So that means to find the points of my circle, I just add or subtract 5 to each of these, okay? 0 plus 5, 0 minus 5, negative 4 plus 5, negative 4 minus 5. Those are just to find my points. So that becomes 5, negative 4, negative 5, negative 4, 0, 1, 0, negative 9. Let's find those points. So we have 5 on X, negative 4. So you can do it this way, or you can just count out 5 in that direction, okay? And then we're going to have negative 5, negative 4. And then we're going to have 0, 1. And then we're going to have 0, negative 9. 7, 8, 9. And then we just connect those the best we can, right? Let's look at it in Desmos. Make sure we look alike. So we've got x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 25. 15, no, 25. Does it look like its center is at negative 4? Yes. Does it look like it goes 5 in every direction? Yes. It's not super clear because they're counting by 2s on the graph, but that looks like it goes up to 0, 1. That looks like it goes over to 5, negative 4. That looks like it goes to 0, 9, negative 9. And that looks like it goes to negative 5, negative 4. All right. I think we have one more example. Identify the center and radius of the circle x minus 5 squared plus y squared equals 24. Find the intercepts and graph the circle. Write in general form. All right. So the center is HK, right? The equation is x minus negative h squared, negative h combined with x squared plus negative k combined with y squared equals r squared. Good. So r squared is 24. Let's start there. Not beautiful, right? That's not a perfect square. So this still is r plus or minus the square root of 24. Remember, we ignore the minus, so we just say r is the square root of 24. Now, the square root of 24, can we do anything to simplify that? So that means we have 24. What can we divide 24 by? Maybe 4 and 6. And then 4 becomes 2 and 2, and 6 becomes 3 and 2, right? So the multiples of 24 are 2 times 2 times 3 times 2. Yeah. And because this is a 2, anything that has a pair, we can pull out. So we can say that is 2 square root of 2 times 3, which becomes 6. Okay. So the simplest we can get r is 2 square root 6. And you can check this in your calculator by just saying the square root of 24 is 4.9. And 2 times the square root of 6 is 4.9 as well. Okay. And since they're asking us to graph it, it's also okay for you to say that 2 square root 6 is about 4.9. Okay, because that's going to be easier to find on the plane. So now let's find the center, right? Remember, we asked what is grouped with x? It's a -5. Change the sign. So now it's a +5. So x is, sorry, h is 5. Gonna do it again. What is grouped with y? It's 0, right? So y is 0 because you can't change the sign of 0. So now we know the center is h comma k. So the center is 5, 0. And we know the radius is about 4.9. So we can graph that right now. Five on x, 0 on y. So that's my center. Right? And then every direction, I need to go 4.9. So I can just count or I can subtract, okay? So I could say 5 plus 4.9, 5 minus 4.9, 0 plus 4.9, 0 minus 4.9. And then everything else is the same. 0, 0, 5, 5. And so that would be 9.90 would be one of my points. 0.10 would be another point. 5, 4.9 would be another point. And then 5, negative 4.9 would be my other point. Or I can just count. So 9.90 means I go all the way out. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost to 10. Right? 0.1, 0.010. So I am almost at the origin. 5, 4.9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 4.9. Almost to 5, just below 5. 5, negative 4.9. So same thing this direction. Almost to 5. And then again, I just try to connect those points. So even if you don't have a whole number, even if you have something like a 2 squared is 6, put it in your calculator. And it should help you know where to put the intercepts of your circle. So it says, identify the center. We identified the center. The center is 5, 0. Identify the radius. The radius was 2 square root of 6 of the circle. Find the intercepts. The intercepts are where it would cross X and Y. Axis. Okay. There is no y-axis, right? It does not cross y, but it crosses x. It crosses x at 9.90 and at 0.10. And then graph the circle, right in general form. Wow, that's a long one. Okay, so we found the intercepts. And then write in general form. So the equation was x minus 5 squared plus y squared equals 24. X minus 5 squared is x minus 5 times x minus 5. Y squared just stays as y squared. All right. So first would be x squared. That's my first FOIL. Then we would do outside minus 5x. Oops. Minus 5x. And that's our O. Inside minus 5x. That's like I. And then last plus 20 plus 25 is my L. Everything else is the same. Plus y squared equals 24. All right. So now I can say x squared plus y squared, because I know these two go first, minus 10x plus 25 equals 24. And now I want to set equal to 0, so I have to subtract 24. X squared plus y squared minus 10x plus 1 equals 0. X squared plus y squared minus 10x plus 1 equals 0. And then our original was x minus 5 squared plus y squared equals 24. So that's the same circle.